FIFA 22 Liverpool ratings prediction video. Now, obviously, Liverpool, by the club's standards, their history, winning Premier Leagues, Champions Leagues recently, it was probably considered a bad season by most of their fans, but I think they'd also all agree that when you consider the circumstances, missing Van Dyke, Gomez, Henderson for a big chunk of the season, just having basically no centre-backs, I think to secure Champions League football is probably considered a successful season considering the circumstances that they were in. And, just to clutch that Champions League is so important for the side. And they started off pretty badly, losing at Anfield a few times, but they definitely finished strongly to the season, which definitely helped a lot of the ratings on these players. Alright, we'll start off with the front three and the best performing player of the season out of the front three, which is Mohamed Salla. 37 games in the Prem, 22 goals, 5 assists, very good. And then Champions League stats, 10 games, 6 goals, 1 assist. So very good season in terms of numbers for Salla. Definitely doesn't deserve a downgrade. In terms of an upgrade, if Liverpool were firing on all fronts, I think Salla would have had even more insane stats than this, and I probably would have given him a 91, but just because the rest of the team didn't really perform too well, I just think Salla couldn't really get an upgrade for me just because he wasn't given the opportunity to, but I've just kept him at 90, and I've given him an extra shooting and 3 extra passing, with an extra physical as well, just because I think he does deserve upgrades on his stats, but maybe not an overall upgrade. Next, we've got Sadio Mane.
I said it last time I was on it, he's the best football player in the world. I don't know why he's laughing for. What, Chris, why are you laughing for? I'm being serious.
Who had a pretty poor season. 35 games, 11 goals, 7 assists. Isn't actually that bad, but we know he's better than that. And then Champions League, 10 games, 3 goals, 1 assists. Now, I think everyone agreed Mane had a pretty average season. I have dropped him down to an 89 just because I feel like to be part of a 90 rated club, you have to be at that top level for that season. And I think Mane can be that player, but I just think this season he hasn't quite done it. So I've dropped his pace, dropped his shooting by 1, and dropped his physical, and then kept everything else the same. Like I say, I know Mane is a top player, but I just think this season he didn't really perform to that standard. Okay, and now Roberto Firmino. So he had 36 games, 9 goals, 7 assists in the Prem, and then 9 games, no goals, no assists in the Champions League. So in the Prem, 9 goals, 7 assists is actually alright. I know he doesn't score too many goals. As you can see in the Champions League, he did have a pretty poor time there, but I do understand that he's not he's quite important to Liverpool because he's more of like an intricate passer, good at build-up play, stuff like that. Like, he isn't all goals and assists, but for your centre forward, you do want him to score a bit more. So I have dropped him down to an 86. He is a quality player, but I just think with those Champions League stats, you can't really justify keeping him an 87. So I dropped him down. 1 pace, kept the shooting the same, 1 passing, 2 dribbling, and kept everything else the same. Like I say, he's a good player, but generally a disappointing season for Firmino. Okay, now we've got Van Dyke. So obviously Van Dyke got injured at the start of the season with that horrible challenge from Pickford. So he only played 5 games in the Prem and got a goal, which is quite good, and 0 games in the Champions League. Now, some of the ratings I'll be talking about, I do mention that injury kind of factors in their downgrade, but that's over multiple seasons, not just one. And I think if their players out for a season, just for 1 season, you can't downgrade them because you can't say that they've got any worse necessarily. And in those 5 games, Van Dijk was alright, he got a goal. So for me, you can't downgrade him. Obviously, you can't upgrade him, but I think you just keep him at a 90. I didn't change any of his stats because you can't say he's got better, you can't say he's got worse. So I think it's fair for Van Dijk just to stay at a 90 rated card. And it's the same case with Joe Gomez. Like I say, got injured relatively quickly after Van Dijk, only played 7 games in the Prem, did get 3 Champions League games in with 1 assist. Like I say, if you're injured the whole season, for me, you can't get downgraded or upgraded. So I just kept him in 82. I did drop his pace 1 just because, it's quite a nasty leg injury he had. So I think he might not be as quick as he used to be. But other than that, I've given him 2 passing, and that's it. I think, like I say, can't downgrade him, can't upgrade him. Just kept him in 83. And now, new signing, Ibrahim Khanate. I mean, to be honest, giving him an 80, I think, might have been a bit generous, although he is a good player, so I think it is fair. But, didn't play too much. 14 games in the Bundesliga with just 1 goal and 6 games in the Champions League. Obviously, he is a good centre-back when he plays, but he is quite injury-prone. But I think, as long as he can stay fit, he'll be a very, very good signing for Liverpool. Potentially their only notable signing this season as well. But, like I say, I've given him a nice boost in pace, 1 defending, 1 physical, good amount of passing and 2 dribbling. I think 80 rated is definitely deserved for Khanate. I wouldn't give him any higher just because he hasn't played too much this last season and a bit, but definitely going to be a good player for Liverpool. Okay, now we're going to look at Fabinho.
You want some chicken, lad?
So Fabinho has, I think he did get injured for a period of the season, but he was very, very crucial player when he did play. Filling in at centre back, didn't look out of place there at all. Very key for Liverpool getting to that Champions League spot. So 30 games, no goals, 1 assist. Obviously for Fabinho as a holding midfielder, doesn't really matter. And 8 games, no goals, no assists in the Champions League. Very, very good player though. Definitely deserves the upgrade to an 88 in my opinion. Now we're going to take a look at Diego Jotter, who had a very, very good start, then got injured and, struggled to come back a little bit. But 19 games, 9 goals in the Prem. Very, very nice. And then Champions League stats, 9 games, 4 goals, 1 assist. And I believe one of those was a hat-trick, I think. Was it against Atlanta or something? But for me, he deserves a +2. I mean, if injuries didn't hamper his season, I think he would have gone on and had an even better season. Obviously, in the Euros, I don't think he played particularly well. But still, for me, he gets a +2. Okay, now we've got Trent. And now, for me, Trent divides opinion a lot. Especially when we saw with the England squad, should he go, should he not go? And for me, my opinion on Trent, he's a top player. And he's still young, and he'll go on to be a very even better player, I think. But I think you can't deny this season he didn't do as well. And still racked up 7 assists and 2 goals in 36 games in the Prem. And 2 assists in the Champions League in 8 games. But I just didn't live up to the previous couple seasons. And I think most Liverpool fans would agree with that. But a lot of people have been hating on him, saying, oh, he's not as good as people say he is. And I think he is, but I just think he didn't show it this season. But he definitely can still show it. So I dropped him down by 1. Thiago had a kind of a mixed season. And obviously, you expect a lot of assists from Thiago. But obviously, you can see he's got no assists in either the Prem or the Champions League this season. Now, I was reading about it and, on a few Liverpool pages. And it said that he had provided quite a few good balls into the box, but they weren't finished. So he could have had a few more assists than that, or a few more assists than having none. But, I mean, coming into this FIFA, I think an 85 was really harsh anyway. I think he should have been an 86, 87. I think a lot of people were surprised that he got an 85. So I was tempted just to leave him at an 85 because that's what I thought. He should have been an 87 this season. Then, based on the season, he would have been dropped down to an 85. But, he's an 85. So I've just given him a -1 to an 84. Okay, now we've got Allison. Now, I was really tempted to give him an 89 rated card because he had a few bad games this season. But I think overall, dealing with what happened with his dad, very, very sad, very unfortunate for him. Hard to deal with. I think, for me, he can keep his 90 rating. He did show moments in the season for sure. And obviously, he is a quality player. So I think, for me, he does just keep the 90 rating. It was close to downgrading him, but I think also that goal just to clutch Champions League, he has to keep that 90 rating. He deserves it for sure. So for me, I've kept Allison at a 90 rated card. Jordan Henderson. So a very important part of Liverpool's squad. He's their captain, obviously, but he did get injured partway through the season, which was unfortunate. He had 21 games, 1 goal, 1 assist, 6 games, no goals, no assists. So from what I was reading on these Liverpool pages, he had a good start to the season. He's just doesn't always stand out, but he's always needed. He's a crucial part of their team. And when he goes out of the squad, you can see the difference it makes. Obviously came into the Euros as well, played a bit. But I couldn't upgrade him, but I don't think he deserves a downgrade either. So I've kept him an 86 rated card with just a few boosted stats. Okay, now Joel Matip. Unfortunately, struggled with injuries again. 10 games, 1 goal, 2 assists is actually very good for a centre-back, to be fair. But only 2 games in the Champions League. And, this could have been Matip's season. Van Dyke, Gomez out, could have stepped up. But, injuries have always hampered him. So I've dropped him down to an 81. Naby Keita had a kind of disappointing season as well, picking up more injuries, Never really can hold his place down over the last season or two, with Liverpool. Only 10 games, no goals, no assists, and 4 games in the Champions League with no goals, no assists. Like I say, another player that is a very good player, but can't hold his place down, and just needs to keep his fitness up and get a run of form going. So I've dropped his pace, shooting, passing, dribbling, defending, and physical. Dropped him down to a 79. So James Milner, had to include him. Absolute workhorse, been around for ages, still going strong. 26 games, no goals, 1 assist, and Champions League 6 games, no goals, no assists. I mean, Milner is just a workhorse. He's just a reliable guy to rely on to do a job. I think he is slowly coming to the end now. I can't see him going past maybe this season, potentially one more season after this, but I think he's like 36 now. He's getting on, not producing quite a good a performance as he used to. Still doing a good job, but not really racking up any goals or assists anymore, and kind of struggling a little bit. But he's still a good player. Just dropped him down to a 78, maybe a bit harsh. I was tempted to give him a 79, but I just think as he's getting on, EA will probably be quite harsh on him as well. Okay, so now we've got quite a few different cards here, just to add on to the rest. These players don't really feature too much and went out on loan. Elliot went on to Blackburn Rovers, I think. Had a very good season there, bagged quite a few goals and assists, looking like a very, very good player, especially in this preseason as well. Been seeing a lot of positive things about him, so I've given him a 72 rated card with a boost in pretty much every area, I think, except physical and defending. So yeah, going to be a baller in the future for sure. Then we've got Curtis Jones, who I've given a 70 rated card. Didn't really get to break out and feature as much this season. Still played a fair few games. I've given him a 70 rated card. Definitely think he deserves that. Definitely better than a 64 rated bronze, in my opinion. Then we've got the Ox, who I dropped down to a 78. Yeah, again, struggled with injuries. Didn't really get to feature too much. And when he did, wasn't particularly great. So I've dropped him down to a 78. And then we've got Firmino, who went out to Southampton on loan, I think, halfway through the season. Really struggled at Liverpool just because, you're never going to play in front of Salla, Mane or Firmino. So kept him the same at 77. Think he definitely is a good enough player to be 77 rated, but, obviously can't get upgraded without really featuring it. And at Southampton, he was decent. I think he scored a couple goals, but didn't really get to show off his full ability. And finally, we've got the last 4 players. So we've got Shaqiri, who I've dropped down to an 80 rated card. Didn't really feature too much, didn't have too much of an impact. And then we've got Origi, who had a really bad season. I think it's his time to move on. He's definitely a good player, but needs to play at a different club. Then we've got Tsimikas. Didn't feature really. Maybe a bit harsh to downgrade him. I think I maybe should have kept him at 76, but, really didn't force his way into the team or anything, and it's hard to do so against Robertson, to be fair. Then we've got Phillips, who had a kind of a breakout season, and he was kind of forced in there. Definitely rose to the challenge. For me, he deserves that 74 rated card. Scored a couple good goals as well, so yeah, well deserved. That's going to be it for my FIFA 22 Liverpool ratings prediction video. I think Liverpool will definitely be back this season. I think, with their defenders being back, I just think they're all round going to be a solid team. And, they struggled last season, they did, but they still got Champions League. So I think that's why I kept a lot of players around the same, with either a small downgrade or a small upgrade. Like I said, I think they'll be back this season for sure, and they'll show that they're a very good team. If you haven't subscribed yet, please consider doing so. It really helps me out. I put a lot of time into these videos. And if you want to watch my next video, it's on the screen right now. And thank you for watching.